ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनचक्षुरुन्मिलितं श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा स्वकान्तं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदं श्रीगुरो वैष्णवांश्च श्रीगुरो साग्रजाता सहगणा सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं श्रीगुणानां कृष्णपादां सहगणा शिक्षाकान्विश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु जगत्ते गोपेशा गोपिकान्त तप्त कांचना गौरं राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानो सुते देवी प्रणमामि पंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावने वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नित्यामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे वाणी चारिणे निर्विशेषा शुद्धवादी अशक्तिधारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु श्री अद्वैता गदाधर सहित गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 Hare Krishna. So everyone, we are discussing from Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 3, Chapter 13. Discuss today? 12. 12. Okay. So this is a section of Maitreya Vidur Samvad Bhagavad. And last time, Maitreya Muni described the calculation of time from the atom. We saw all the various different terminologies, Shana, Lava, Nimesh. They have a specific value. Not everything is same. So today we'll start with the 12th chapter, which is entitled The Creation of the Kumaras and the. So in this chapter, Brahmaji, after creating Kumaras, Marichi, Dharma, Adharma, then ultimately he produces a couple from his own body to increase the population. So that is what will be described in this 12th chapter. Maitreya Uvacha Ite Varnita Shattaha Kalakya Paramatma महिमा वेद गर्भ
परमात्मनः
यथा
महिमा वेदगर्भ
में
यथा शाखिन विधा में.
So far, I have explained to you the glories, the form, in Godhead, this feature of Kala. Now you can hear from me about the creation of Brahma, the reservoir of all Vedic.
So now he is describing the Visarga in great detail. So last time it was described in the 10th chapter. There are 10 types of creation, 6 primary, 3 secondary, and 1 mixed creation. And then in the 11th chapter, he described about the divisions of time. And now he is describing the further creation by Brahmaji. So first, he creates Brahmaji, before creating anything, creates ignorance. Because that is what is needed for a living entity to stay in this world. First thing is forget his connection with the Supreme Lord. Because unless a living entity forgets his identity as the servant of Krishna, it is impossible for him to live in this world. So therefore, it is the mercy of the Lord that Lord has instructed Brahma to create first the 5 types of ignorance, so that living entities can try to enjoy in this world, because that's why they have come here for. That's why we have come here for, to enjoy separately from Krishna. Krishna bahirmukho hiya jiva bhogvancha kare nikatastha maatare jhapatiya dhare. So now in the second to fifth verses, he'll create various types of ignorance. ससर्जाग्र्यन्ततामिश्रम् अथतामिश्रमादिकृत् महामोहं च मोहं च
महामोहं च मोहं च तमश्चज्ञानवृत्तयः
Brahma first created the ancient engagements like self-deception, sense of death, anger after passion, sense of ship, and the injury body, hateful identity.
So in second and third, he describes how this creation began with the creation of ignorance, and Brahma was not very happy creating this because this is the energy which keeps a living entity away from Krishna. So, Sasarja, Agre, he created at first, Agre, in the beginning, 5 things he created. Andhatamishram. Andhatamishra is the sense of death. That's why living entity is fearful, sense of death. Tamishram, anger upon frustration. Sangat sanjayate kama kama krodha. So anger upon frustration. Tries to enjoy and he's not able to enjoy, he's not able to get things which results in anger. Mahamoham, ownership of enjoyable objects. This is mine, I will enjoy. Ishwaroham aham bhokti. So these 5 agyan vrittis. First is andatamishram, tamishram, mahamoham. Fourth is illusory conception. Moham, I am this body. And tamaha is, last is tamaha, the darkness in self-knowledge. That means ignorance of one's real swarup. We forget that we have a real swarup also. We are servants of Krishna. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes very precisely what all these 5 things mean. Share. So here you can see tamas means ignorance of the swarupa. Moha means identification of the self with the body. Mahamoha, applying possessiveness to the objects of enjoyment. Tamishra, appearance of anger when the mental functions, within the mental functions, when one's enjoyment is obstructed. And Andatamishram, unconsciousness state brought on by anger. So therefore, all these 5 things are created so that the living entity can try to enjoy. And then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he quotes from Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. He says in Yoga Sutra, Patanjali says, we have heard this earlier also, avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. So these are another terminologies for these 5 types of ignorance. So he gives the parallels. Avidya means tamas. So tamas is also created. Andatamishram, tamishram, mahamoham, moha and tama. So tama is ignorance. Then moha means false identity. Then mahamoha means attachment, raga. Then moha means asmita. Then mahamoha means raga or attachment. Then tamishra means dvesha or repulsion. Anything which you don't like, which obstructs my enjoyment, I don't like it. Repulsion. And abhinivesha means fear of death or andhatamishra. So that is how these are the 5 qualities created. And then Brahmaji, as a very, very compassionate Vaishnava, he was not happy seeing all these things he had created. But that is a service he had to do. So therefore he was not satisfied with this creation. Drishtva papiyasim srishtim natmanam bhavamanyata
Natmanam
vadhyana
Bhavamanata
tena मनसान्यां ततो श्रियः
मनसायं ततो श्रितः
Creation as a simple task. Brahma did not much pleasure in it. He himself by meditation can
So in the previous purport, Prabhupada writes, the first condition of material existence is forgetfulness of one's real identity. And thus, by forgetting one's real identity, one is sure to be afraid of death. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he writes in his book Jaiva Dharma or Dashamula Tattva, the sequence of events which happens when a living entity comes in this world. So first thing which happens is misidentification. Second, he gets covered with subtle body, then gross body. And before that, he forgets his real identity. Then he gets subtle body, then he gets the gross body. And that's how he gets entangled in this material existence. So that's the beginning of the material existence for the living entity. This false identification is the cause of false ownership, which are offered by the arrangement of superior control. So living entity thinks, so these are for my enjoyment, and I will enjoy with all these things. Sometimes Prabhupada said, so Krishna has made this world for enjoyment. Everybody was happy. चलो पहली बार कुछ तो बोल रहे हैं हमारे. Prabhupada said, not yours, for his enjoyment. Because Krishna's enjoyment is when we understand our mistake. And that's why he has made this world for. So that we can understand that we are not meant to be in this place and we try to go back. Therefore, he has made this world sufficiently full of problems, miseries. That's how the jail is. If the criminal says, थोड़ा AC थोड़ा लगाएंगे तो अच्छा रहेगा. और मेनू में आज क्या है? So all these things are not possible in jail. You are going through a punishment. So therefore, all the facilities will not be there. Prabhupada writes, all material resources are offered to the living entity for his peaceful living and for the discharge of the duties of self-realization. So Bhu Loka is a very, very wonderful place where there is not much of happiness, not much of pain. It is a place which is sufficiently full of pain so that we can always remember Krishna. If we are too happy, not possible to remember Krishna. Too distressed, not possible to remember. So that's why even Devatas, they are praying. It comes in the 5th canto that we have come here in this heavenly planet, but we are not able to remember you. We have done so much of yajna, tapa, dan, and we have come here, but atishaya indriya utsava. There is so much of sense gratification here that we are not able to remember your lotus feet. So that is the problem in the heavenly planets. Of course, not all devatas are like that. Most of the devatas, they are pure devotees. Those who go from here to there to enjoy, they have such tendencies because they came there to enjoy primarily. Then they also realize, okay, now we understood that we have to serve Krishna, but we can't remember Krishna. We can't focus on Krishna because so much of enjoyment is available. So therefore, this place, Bhumandal, is a very nice place where we can practice bhakti. It is evident from this verse that Brahma himself is a creation of the Supreme Lord. And the 5 types of nishayans which condition the living entities in material existence are creations of Brahma. So now, Drishtva Papiyasi Srishti. Papiyasi means when he created such a misleading creation, it was not so interesting and exciting for Brahmaji. Ta Atmanam Bahumanyata. He was not so much satisfied with this creation. Bhagavad Dhyana Puktena. So therefore, after creating this, he purified himself by meditating on the Supreme Lord. Manasa anyantato srijat. Then he began another term of creation. Anyan srijat. So by the meditation on the Supreme Lord, he purified himself. And one of the acharyas write, due to this purification, the sinful creation which was made earlier could not enter into the newly created beings. This is Sri Subodhini Vallabhacharya's commentary. In that he also writes. He has written commentaries on first 3 cantos and then the last 10th canto, the 4 cantos. Vallabhacharya. So he writes, because he now purified himself by meditating on the Supreme Lord, then the further creation didn't have these 5 things. What was the further creation? The next was the creation of 4 Kumaras. So this second creation was pure one because it was created in a purified mindset. So this creation was the best creation. So Srila Prabhupada, he describes why Krishna gives ignorance. Although he created the different influences of Nishayans, Lord Brahma was not satisfied. But he had to do it because most conditioned souls wanted it. Krishna says, Sarvasya Chaham Hridhi Sannivishtos. The question may be raised, why the Lord helps one to remember and other to forget? Any answers? We read. Why Krishna makes one person remember, other person forget him?
Because of their
Why he
desires,
allows one person to remember Krishna, other person to forget?
because of their desire,
Desire of the living entity. Matta Smriti Jnana Apohanam Cha. This is Krishna's reciprocation with the living entity. So we yeah,
because of their desires,
it is very valid question because भगवान हमको उधर से इधर आने के लिए क्यों हम लोग गिर रहे थे और भगवान देख के हंस रहे थे ताली बजा रहे थे ऐसा नहीं था. So this question of why Jiva came, million dollar question Jiva called an issue that nobody can answer. Nobody, and Prabhupada never answered it. And he only said 2 things. What we have heard first, go back and find out. Secondly, he said, which is more important? Going back, or if somebody throws you in the middle of the sea from a ship and a rope is given, first you will ask, "Pehle bolo dhakka kaun marega?" It's like one time king announced that my daughter is about to be married and the challenge is this lake is full of crocodiles. If anyone crosses this lake swimming, I'll give my daughter's hand in marriage. So kaun abhi risk lega? Suddenly they saw one person is swimming and he crossed the lake. And the king was so very happy. He said, "Oh, you are such a courageous person. And I am giving my daughter in marriage to you." He said, "Oh, sab baad mein pehle bata mere ko dhakka kaun mara idhar?" So what is the point in asking this question? And a few days back, Balram Shakti Prabhu, he was giving a class on this topic. He was speaking from Jaiva Dharma. And he was telling that, actually Bhagavatam class he was giving. And he spoke in Brahmachari class also. That whenever Prabhupada would speak like this, you would think, are they just avoiding this question? Bata do na, kya problem? You know the things, right? So then in Jaiva Dharma, Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes that actually living entity with this limited intelligence will never understand. We have our Kupanduk Nyaya. Our intelligence is a very small intelligence. We live in a paradigm of time where past, present and future is there. In spiritual world, past, present, future is not there. That's it. That is itself difficult to understand. So there are different dimensions there. So it is not possible to understand why we fell down. Just to have some understanding, we say that we rebelled against the Lord and then we came here. But exactly, जाके पता चलेगा why we came here. So that is the understanding which Srila Prabhupada gives, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur says you will never understand. Living entity with the material contaminated mindset will never understand. So therefore, what's the point in discussing this question? कैसे गिरे, क्यों गिरे, कब गिरे?
This explanation,
There is. He was Balram Shakti Prabhu. He was quoting from Jaiva Dharma. And there is another thing which Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, very bewildering concept. He says all the jivas are created by Mahavishnu. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in Jaiva Dharma. So Mahavishnu say matlab we were never there in the spiritual world. So he says there are two types of jiva, Nitya Baddha, Nitya Mukta. And third is Baddha Mukta. Those who are there in this world, the Nitya Buddhas can become Nitya Mukta. So why Krishna created some as Nitya Baddha, why some as Nitya Mukta? So all these discussions are not the scope of this. So basically Krishna, he never interferes in the free will of a living entity. We give the example of a child that the father tells and parents that tell the child and stop the child. But our intelligence is not childish intelligence. We knew the consequences. We give the example, but examples are like a rubber band. If you stretch beyond the limit, they'll break. If we compare Krishna like sun, Krishna is like sun. So, oh, sun is hot, Krishna is also hot. No, that is not the aspect we are comparing. Now, when we compare sun, sunlight, and sun god, we are comparing only one aspect in that example. So, therefore, when we tell the example that okay, the Krishna, we rebelled, Krishna could have told, but our intelligence is not childish intelligence. We knew, but still, curiosity kills the cat. So, that is what is described there. So, basically, when it is described that Krishna gives forgetfulness, and we hear many times in scriptures that sense gratification leads to misery, and यही संस्पर्श जासा हमने एग्जाम्पल सुना है, अजामिल एपिसोड सुना है, but when Maya tempts us, then all that goes in the background. So why we forget Krishna? Is he responsible for our forgetfulness? No, he is not responsible. He is responsive. He responds to our prominent, desires. Our desire is our responsibility. So what we desire regularly, that Krishna reciprocates with. And sometimes because of our conditionings, we may fall down, but that should not decrease the enthusiasm of a devotee. We have two things, our swabhava and our shraddha. Shraddha comes from reading scriptures, associating with devotees, and swabhava or vasanas, they come from our previous conditionings and anarthas. Karmani, anarthas. Karmani nirdhati kintu cha bhakti bhaja. कर्मा तो चले गए, भक्ति करने के शुरू में कर्मा चले गए. As soon as we start practicing bhakti, karmas are not there in question. That is Krishna's business. It is not the right thing to say. If we can, I think we have discussed this earlier also. 1088 8 verse. Yasyaham anugrahinami harishyet dhanam shanay. We can discuss it again. This is a very, very important thing. Because we have to understand that when a devotee suffers, it is not karma.
Previous karma.
It is not previous karma. karmas are destroyed even by the namabhas, even by unconsciously chanting. If the sins are getting destroyed, what to speak of a devotee who is chanting with faith? Yamraj tells Yamduta Sanketyam Parihasyam Stobham Helanam. Somebody is chanting in an indirect way also. Ashesh Aghaharam. He is destroying all his sinful reactions. So then, no. What is the question of karma for a devotee? We can read this purport, Chakravarti Thakur's purport, 1088.8. Yeah, it is on. Now, this is a very, very important concept to understand. Okay, so this is Lord Shiva saved from Brikasur. यस्याहम अनुगृह्णामि हरिष्यत धनम शनै ततो अधनम त्यजत्यस्य स्वजना दुःख दुःखिताम्. If I specially favor someone, I gradually deprive him of his wealth. Then the friends and relatives of such a poverty-stricken man abandon him. In this way, he suffers from one distress after another. So, Chakravarti and Srila Prabhupada's means all the disciples, they have exactly copied the Chakravarti Thakur's purport. So, we'll go to Chakravarti Thakur's purport. He says, a man suffers misery because of loss of wealth. He suffers further because of rejection by his relatives because he is poor. Thus, suffering given by the Lord is not the result of karma. This is about a devotee. Any devotee. Suffering given by the Lord is not the result of karma. Even happiness given to Lord's devotees is not the result of karma. This is the unrequested result of bhakti. Whatever good things or whatever bad things are happening in the life of a devotee, these are exclusively given by Krishna. That is one reason devotees suffer. Second reason devotees suffer because they do aparadh. Nam aparadh, Vaishnava aparadh, Seva aparadh. Karma is not in picture. And he continues. Very, very powerful purport this is. Okay, then I will go to the third paragraph after that. How can the Lord, so affectionate to his devotees, make him suffer? Logical question, valid question. Why he is putting his devotees into suffering? Simple example he gives. The father, though affectionate to his sons, gives them the austerity of studying by taking away their resources of enjoyment. The father knows that the action is a sign of his affection, though the son does not appreciate it at the time. And we all have this experience. मेरा favorite serial आ रहा था, पापा ने नहीं देखने दी. कल एग्जाम मेरा हो गया पढ़ के, नहीं फिर भी पढ़ना है. That time it was so painful. And then he quotes a verse from 10:19, where Bhishma is telling, Sarvam Kal Kritam Manye Bhavatam Chayad Apriyam. Who is this Kal? Esha Vai Bhagwan Sakshat. जो सामने खड़े हैं यही काल है, यही आपके जीवन में कर रहे हैं. कभी में से वो तो प्योर डिवोटी है. It is valid for all the devotees. Then, how to understand? Then he asks a very wonderful question. How to understand that this karma is coming from, this reaction is coming from previous karma and this reaction is given by the Lord directly? कुछ अंतर है. तब रिएक्शन तो इफेक्ट तो दोनों का सेम ही लगता है. पिटाई तो दोनों से हो रही है, मार तो पड़ रही है, दुख तो दोनों से हो रहा है. How to understand? He gives 3 reasons. As the experiences of happiness of suffering coming from karma are or directly from the Lord are similar, what distinguishes them? He says, even though experiencing happiness or suffering arising from karma, therefore finishing with the effects, a person still maintains the seed or desire. That's the first thing. The desire never goes. When he is given some enjoyment, his desire to enjoyment increases. When he is given some punishment, he suffers all the more. The cause is desire for enjoyment. That never goes. The seed continues and produces more suffering. That is the first thing. The desire never goes. The seed never goes. When Krishna gives, he destroys the desire. The famous verse that Satyam dishatyarthitam arthito nrinam naiva tadoyat punararthitam yatah स्वयं विधत्ते भजतामनिच्छतामिच्छापिधानं निजपादपल्लवं सत्यं दिशति. It is true. Arthitam arthito nrinam. If devotee asks some material things, Krishna gives it. Naivarthato yat punararthitam yatah. He never gives in a way the devotee will ask again. Doबारा मांगेगा ही नहीं. How does he do that? Swayam vidhatte. He gives himself. And when Krishna comes in the life of a devotee, Krishna is Ichhapidhanam. He fulfills all the desires. So that's how Krishna deals. He gives happiness, but he removes the desire for enjoyment. That does not happen with the karmic reactions. Second, according to the degree of karma or the sin, the person experiences certain degree of happiness or suffering, even to the extent of falling to hell. A karmi may go to hell and suffer. A devotee will never suffer hell. Krishna will never put just like father may beat a child if he is stealing, but he will not beat like the police. So Krishna may also give punishment because of our sinful tendencies. I'll show you another purport. 3 purports are there, very, very important. Bhagavad Gita Apichet Suduracharo. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's purport is amazing. What defines a devotee? That also we will discuss. So now he continues. The suffering.
Let me just go through these 3. What it means is there is affair, whatever is happening, or bad, my thoughts reacting to that, happiness, being disturbed by that. Does it mean that attached to the seed?
No. See, the desire to enjoy will go. The desire to enjoy again will not come. Even if a devotee is given a palatial house to stay, his desire to enjoy will not increase. I want more. I want more. I'm not satisfied with this. That thing Krishna removes gradually. Yeah. The person never gets satisfied. That is the difference between Ayodhya and Lanka. Lanka was prosperous, Ayodhya was prosperous. But Lanka, they were never satisfied with whatever they had. Ayodhya Vasis, they were satisfied because they had Lord Ram. So when Krishna is there in the picture, then satisfaction automatically comes. The devotee may become prosperous. Devotee may be in a poverty-stricken condition, may suffer, but he is very equipoised in that situation. That means he doesn't hanker or lament. So that is the understanding.
I'm asking day-to-day life, so if I'm able to content whatever is happening, that means is there. And if I'm looking for further, okay, should have done, I should have need more, whatever way. That means is it because of the past karmic past?
See, the primary thing is very clear that as soon as we start practicing devotional service, start chanting, the karmic reactions, they cease to exist for a devotee. All these analyses are to to analyze how to see what is happening in the life of a devotee and what is happening in the life of a materialist karmi, how it will affect a devotee and a karmi. So the basic understanding is karmic reactions don't work for a devotee because Krishna and Chakravarti Thakur quotes another verse. For why a devotee will not go to hell? Yamraj tells Yamdutas, तीन लोगों को लेके आओ. Never chants the name, never pay obeisances, never utter the names, never remembers me. इंडिया में तो सब लोग करते हैं, कोई नहीं जाएगा क्या? It depends on the purity of their faith. The pure faith. With pure faith, if they are chanting, what is pure faith? Jnana karmadi anavrit. That is pure faith. So I am not depending on devatas, I am only depending on Krishna. So that defines purity of faith. If a person goes to Shivji also, Durga also, Ganeshji also, Krishna Mandir also, भगवान का नाम सब जगह हर एक देवता का नाम ले रहा है. That is not the criteria. If a person with pure faith is chanting names of the Lord, remembering Him, offering obeisance, they will not go. So this purity of faith is very important. So our faith is pure, but it is weak. There is a difference between pure faith and weak faith. The faith of a practicing sadhaka is pure, but it is weak. Our pure faith can get mixed in the weak condition. Mixed matlab, if somebody says, nahi, you are suffering so much, thoda astrology dikha lo. Find out some dosh will be there, you do some puja, shani puja, or ye wo. Thoda kar lo, and we have to chant only, na. Our faith is getting mixed.
It's not pure.
So that's how we have to protect our weak faith in the beginning. Yahara Komala Shraddha Shekanishta Jan Krame Krame Teho Bhakta Haibe Uttam. The beginning Kanishta is weak faith, Komal Shraddha. So when weak faith is there, the pure faith can become mixed only. It can become. Aparadhs and Krishna plans them. For our purification, to purify our desires. It will come. Very, very interesting stories there in this purport. Whatever thoughts we are having, Chakravarti Thakur has given everything. So he quotes this verse, Jivana Bhakti Bhagavad Gunnamatheyam Chetaschana Smrti Tacharana Krishnaya no namati yashire kadapi tananayadvam asato akrit Vishnu Krityani. Yamraj is telling this. So devotees, so he says, from this it is understood, 6.3.29. From this it is understood that for the devotee suffering because of the Lord, there is no fall to hell. Okay? The Lord never gives his devotees hellish suffering. Itna nahi denge. Then he gives another example. Suffering arising from karma and the Lord are like the suffering arising from receiving a beating from an enemy and one's mother. One is like poison, other is like nectar. Suffering is there both ways, right? But a devotee suffering is like mother beating. Mother beats to correct the mentality of the child. That's how Krishna deals with his devotee. Now, another interesting question. For the Lord who solves all problems, will his purpose not be fulfilled without giving suffering to his devotees? Valid question. बिना suffering दिए correct कर दो ना, क्या problem है आपके लिए? You can do anything, right? He says, it will not be fulfilled. The purpose will not be fulfilled. He gives suffering to his dearmost, which ultimately results in happiness. Like applying stinging ointment to the eye. Some Ayurvedic ointment आपने लगाया रहेगा and it burns a lot in the beginning. So he says the suffering, he gives three reasons why purpose will not be solved. First, It is like applying ointment to the eye. In order to preserve the secret of bhakti, outsiders will say, people are suffering so much. Why should I practice? नहीं बाबा कृष्ण के पास नहीं जाएंगे. Because Krishna wants to protect the secrets of bhakti. He does not want to give it to everyone. That is second. Third, to avoid uprooting the opinions of the speculators. To also be satisfied. They should also have some reason to speculate, right? To also speculate why these devotees are suffering. That's why Krishna sometimes put the devotees into troubles. And to increase the longing of his devotees. कि जब तक दुख नहीं होगा तब तक कैसे कृष्ण को पुकारेंगे. And he says, if I always make my devotees happy, now this is an interesting statement. If I always make my devotees happy, then there would be no avatars. Krishna Ram कहाँ से आएंगे अब प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए? तो now it creates a question. आपको अवतार लेना है तो आप हमको प्रॉब्लम में डालोगे? He asked this question. And if avatars did not come, how could there be playing of the devotees in the ocean of pastimes? So if avatars are not there, what will we discuss? So another question. Is it a fault if the Lord comes without having to deliver the devotee from suffering? बिना problem के आ जाओ ना अवतार ले लो, क्या problem? Why you want to put the devotees in trouble? Right? Six. Oh brother, you are not familiar with rasa. Listen, sunrise appears splendid because of darkness. Coolness in summer, coolness is pleasant. Cold season, warmth is pleasant. In darkness, lamp appears splendid. Food tastes delicious when there is there is no more need to elaborate. This is how we have to understand. 10, 14, 8 verse is also very powerful. Tattenukampa. Very similar purport is there. And we'll see this one purport of Chakravarti Thakur from Bhagavad Gita. Apichet Sudhuracharo. Because it defines who is a pure. Krishna calls that devotee as a pure. Apichet Sudhuracharo. What is Sudhurachari? क्या गया उधर तो क्या किया है उसने? मतलब हम किसको बोलेंगे सुदूराचार्य?
Abominable act.
Okay, I'll put on the group. You all can also read. Yesterday only I discussed in my other in the Vaibhav class. Some similar thing had come up. Yeah. Sure. Okay, so this is Apichet Suduracharo 9.30. Apichet Suduracharo bhajate ma mananya bhag sadhurev samantavya samyak vyavasitosi saha. Even if the most sinful person worships me with no other desire than to please me, I consider that person to be my devotee, as he has fixed himself completely in me. Now, he says, my attachment to my devotee is my very nature. That attachment does not decrease even if the devotee commits wrong. Or I make him come up to the highest standard. So what is Sudurachar? तो ऐसा थोड़ा झूठ बोल दिया, थोड़ा सेवा टाइम पे नहीं किया, वो सुदुराचारी नहीं है. If someone with a bad conduct, addicted to violence, thievery, adultery, that is a sudurachari Krishna is talking about. Will not keep him in the society also. But Krishna is so magnanimous. Person who is addicted to violence, thievery, adultery, worships me and worships no one except me. That is very important. That is ananya bhak. That is pure faith. this person has a pure faith. He is suffering because of his swabhava, but his shraddha is pure. So what is pure faith? I will not go to anyone. It will be described further. So now the question may be raised, but considering his bad conduct, how is he a devotee? How can you call him a devotee? Because he is doing such bad activity. He is to be respected. Mantavyaha. Sadhurevasa mantavya. Because of his good devotee qualities. What is the devotee quality in that person? He does not go to anyone else. He depends on Krishna for. It's like a small child. किसके पास जाएगा वो? Even if the mother beats the child, वो मम्मी को ही पकड़ के रोता है. So that's how this devotee, he knows. It will be described. It is a command. Krishna says, it is my command. We have to respect that devotee for his devotee qualities. We may deal with him according to his wrong deeds, but devotee quality you have to appreciate, respect. So, now question is, okay, ठीक है, when he is doing worshipping you, then he is a devotee. When he is not worshipping you, he is not your devotee, right? Krishna says no. He should be considered as the devotee in all his acts. अच्छा कर रहा है, बुरा कर रहा है, वो मेरा devotee. That is how magnanimous Krishna is. You should not see his bad qualities at all. Why? Samyak vyavasthitihi. What is Samyak vyavasthiti? He makes a splendid resolution. I will go to hell for my sinful activities, which are hard to give up, but I will not give up worship of Krishna. I may fall down hundreds of times, but I will not give up worshiping Krishna. क्या करें? कहाँ जाएंगे? मैं देवताओं के पास नहीं जाऊँ. I will not take shelter of karma or jnana. I will only depend on Krishna. Then, next verse. Shipram bhavati dharmatma. How can you accept the worship of such a sinful person? How can you eat the food and drink offered by a heart contaminated with lust and anger? Krishna says very quickly he becomes righteous. Very quickly. So the present tense is used. Abhi ho jayega. Very quickly become righteous. He says. Not the future, to express the fact that having committed sin, by remembering the Lord, he becomes repentant and thus very quickly becomes religious. Oh, how unfortunate I am! There is no one as low as I, bringing bad name to the devotee. So this devotee is really beaten by his anarthas. Please understand this mentality. He is not consciously planning for doing anything wrong, but he is again and again, he is so weak that he is falling down at every step, like a small child. Krishna is talking about that devotee. कितना भी गलत कर रहा है लेकिन उसका श्रद्धा है कि भाई नहीं अभी तो कृष्ण is only there. Who else can I take shelter of? And then he says this devotee does not suffer because of his sinful activities. Very interesting. Even if it is sinful activity, he doesn't suffer. And then he gives the example, if somebody is suffering from a disease and he starts taking medicine, the effects may take some time. After taking medicine, the destructive effects of fever or poison remains for some time. It is not considered seriously. Thus, with the entrance of Bhakti in his mind, the sinful actions are not taken seriously. So that's how it is very, very important. Then Krishna says, then Arjuna may ask, okay, ठीक है, if he becomes righteous in the end, so I can accept. What if he's sinful till the end of his life? How to understand? God tells, O son of Kunti, he speaks with little anger. O son of Kunti, my devotee is not destroyed. At the time of death, he does not fall. He never goes to hellish reactions. Never suffers like hellish. Karmic people suffer. And then he says, "Oh, son of Kunti, please go in the scrabbling assembly and with hands raised in the air." मतलब पुराने जमाने में कैसे राजा अनाउंसमेंट कैसे करवाते हैं, बीच में जाके चौराहे पे, सुनो सुनो सुनो. That's what he's telling Arjun. Arjun, you do that. You take a drum, he says, going to scrabbling assembly with a tumultuous sound of drums, throwing your hands in air, you fearlessly declare this. Declare what? Declare that my devotee will never perish. So that is how we have to understand. A devotee does not suffer because of his karma. Devotee suffers because Krishna puts him, and of course because of aparadhs, Nam aparadh, Seva aparadh, Vaishnava aparadh.
Krishna.
Yes, yes, correct. Yeah, but still, whatever they have done, that is a permanent account. They may suffer. If they start taking shelter of other things, then they may suffer. When the weak faith get mixed, from pure to mixed, they start going to all the other devtas and do everything, then they go out of the purview of devotional life, suffer.
Condition is also repentance of the.
Repentance is the most important thing. All the while devotees repenting. If repentance is not there, that is shamelessness. He, he's not depending on Krishna. He doesn't want to get corrected. You know, Mithyachar 3.6. Jai ho Shlok. Nahi kaschit nahi. 3.6. Mithyachara se uchyate. Yastu indriyani manasa niyamya rabate arjuna karmendriya karmyogama sakta savishyate. Anyways, so who is a mithyachari? 3.6 क्या है? कर्मेंद्रियाणि संयम्य यास्ते मनसा स्मरण इंद्रियार्थान विमूढ़ात्मा मिथ्याचार सच्च. So who is a mithyachari here? There are 4 levels, 4 types of people. Externally pure, internally pure. That is a pure devotee. That is highest, first class. Second, externally pure, internally trying to be pure. That is a sadhaka. Third is externally pure, internally no attempt to get purified. Fourth is externally externally pure. Using externals to using the externals. Now he's behaving in an external pure way, but he's using that to do wrong things in private. In public, he will maintain a facade that I am very pakka nice devotee. And he'll attract fame, wealth, prestige, and use that to do sinful activities in private. That person. So who is mithyachari? These four things. Fourth one is a mithyachari, and third one to a certain extent also. He doesn't want to change.
Fourth one.
Fourth one is doing sinful activities in the name of that. Third one doesn't want to change. He's also mithyachari. So devotee is not mithyachari because he's not pretending. He is suffering because of his conditions. He repents for that. Jata Shabdo Matkathasu Nirvinna Sarvakarmasu Veda Dukkhatmakan Kaman Parityagapyanishwara 10, 20, 18, 19. We discussed last time also. Tato Bhajet Mam Prita Shraddhalu Dृढ़ निश्चय Yushamanas Kaman Dukkho Darkamsha Garahyan. Garahyan means he repents. Krishna says, my devotee, his faith has risen in my pastimes. He knows sense gratification will lead to misery, but still he is not able to give up. Still he continues to practice with, he should practice with faith, determination, and with a happy mindset. Prita, it is not a outcome, it is an injunction. Devotee should not so guilty conscious, seeing his own or her own anarthas, that gets disturbed. It happens sometimes. Krishna says, please be happy. Don't worry so much about your anarthas. Okay. So that is all. Due course of time, we get purified of our anarthas. But if when the anarthas they come up and we start getting too much troubled because of anartha, that means we are thinking, how can this come in my mind? So that's when people, devotees suffer more. ऐसा कैसे सोच सकता मेरे साथ ऐसा कैसे I am practicing since so many years. How come I have such thoughts? No. This is not right thing. ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? When we don't accept, then we suffer more. And we keep on remembering the same thing again and again. Therefore, we have to just neglect it. Yeah. Nayam deho dev bhaja. Correct.
What is practical setting? They are not dependent.
What is the purpose? That defines why we are working hard. That defines a devotee or a materialist. I may be working hard like a materialist, but the intention is different. I want to serve Krishna and I have to maintain my family. उसके लिए तो उतना ही मेहनत करना पड़ेगा क्या करें modern civilization is like this. So some people are fortunate that बगल में ही है office बगल में ही है. Most of the people are not. क्या करें? So do the needful.
Yes, please.
Where it is mentioned? Okay. Yeah, maybe Prabhupada may be talking about the materialistic life. Devotees have to be happy. Prabhupada writes in one place.
Chant and be happy. Chant and be happy.
वो तो है ही. But a devotee has to be happy.
This is not a
It is not, otherwise he is not a devotee.
Actually, it happens. Not like as happy.
Yeah, so that's how, if we are not feeling happy practicing bhakti, that means there is some problem somewhere. कुछ तो गड़बड़. If still we are crying, thinking कौन लाए मेरे को भक्ति में पता नहीं फंस गए. पहले ही इतना अच्छा करना था कि 16 माला भी करना है हद हो गई तो.
But when you like that, but to outside us, opposite.
He mentioned in terms of
Yeah.
Mentioned that in life, attachment.
Correct. वो तो है.
The point is,
That I accept.
we are not easy.
Devotee has to go through tapasya. मेहनत तो बहुत करना.
And penance is like
Correct. तपास क्या? सृजामि तपसा वेदम ग्रसामि तपसा पुनः वीर्यम में दुश्चरन तपः. Krishna says there. वीर्यम में दुश्चरन तपः. I get my powers because of my austerity. What austerity Krishna is doing? We have discussed this. प्रभु जी कितना पहले का. So the austerity of detachment from his creation. Because he is creating and he knows that next moment I have to destroy it. If somebody is told you create and then कल आपको यही तोड़ना है, बोले why should I create then? But he is mercifully creating and destroying because he wants to give a facility for living entities to enjoy and to rectify themselves. Okay. थर्ड वर्स से आगे नहीं बढ़े हम. Any other questions? So Prabhupada writes in the purport, Brahmaji. Okay, so he is saying the question may be raised. The question may be raised why the Lord, who is all merciful, helps one to remember and other to forget. Actually, his mercy is not exhibited in partiality towards one and enmity towards another. The living entity is partially independent because he partially possesses all qualities of the Lord. Anyone who has some independence may sometimes misuse it due to ignorance. So Krishna never interferes in the free will of a living entity. So we have to take the responsibility of our desires. Our desires are our responsibility. So periodically we a devotee should be always introspective. Periodically we have to pause in our lives and observe our desires. What are my thoughts now? What do I want to do? What is really my goal? Because sometimes in due course of doing services and seva, we forget the main goal. We forget why I am doing all that. And then when some things doesn't happen the way we want, then we suffer a lot because we lose the greater picture. I was not doing it for myself. If somebody chastises us, criticizes us, we suffer, and then we say, seva hi nahi karna hai, because we forget the main picture, bigger picture. So therefore, we have to continuously observe, introspect what is my desire. And then, of course, we have to choose the devotional desires and reject all the non-devotional desires. Prabhupada writes, when the living entity prefers to misuse his independence and glides down towards nescience, the all-merciful Lord, first of all, tries to protect him. But when the living entity persists, the Lord helps him forget. The Lord tries. But if the devotee says, if the living entity says, no, I want to, okay. As Prabhupada gives the example, if the child wants to put the hand in the fire, Prabhupada gives his own example. When I was a child, I was putting hand in the fan. And my father, what he did, he stopped the fan and then he said, okay, now put. And Prabhupada said, I put and it was a big sound and I was really hurt. And then I realized, nahi dalna. So that's how living entities, they are also put in this situation after Krishna tries to tell them, mat jao, pitai hogi, nahi. We didn't hear. The Lord helps the falling living entity glide down to the lowest point just to give him the chance to see if he is happy by misusing his independence. You have misused your independence, you have come to this point. So now you see, are you happy? So therefore, then Prabhupada writes that Brahma was not happy. A devotee never likes to see others suffering. Prahlad Maharaj also prays to the Lord. Naivodvijay paraduratyayavaitaranya tvadvirya mahamritamagna chittaha shoche shoche tato vimukacheta saindriyartha maya sukhaya bharamudvato vimudhan. Naiva udvaje, oh my Lord, not disturbed in this material world. Tvad Gayan Mahamrita Magna Chitta, I am absorbed in your name form pastimes. I will cross this ocean. That's not a problem. But Shoche, I am lamenting. Why? Vimukacheta Indriyarthe, those living entities who have turned their face away from Krishna, I am lamenting for them. So that's how Prahlad is not thinking I am missing sense gratification. No. They are self-realized. They know this is like hell. For a pure devotee, it is like hell. All the sense gratification of the living entity, it is very, very hellish for a pure devotee because they have realized it. Just like Prahlad says, where is happiness in this world? Kutra, Shisha, Shruti Shukha, Mrig Trishna Rupa, it is all Mrig Trishna. Mirage in the desert, lots of pain, a drop of pleasure, Kama, Nalam, Madhulavai. So therefore, a devotee, sadhaka bhakta, he is sometimes in this side of the pendulum, sometimes the other side of the pendulum. Sometimes always, sometimes pakka devotional, sometimes all the thoughts are not devotion. So that's how bhoga tyaga, it happens in the life of a devotee. Sometimes in the beginning stages it happens. Six characteristics of anishtita bhajan: sahamayi, dhanatarala, vishaya sangar, niyamakshama, vyuda vikalpa, tarangarangini. So all these things come in the life of a devotee in the beginning stages. But if we continuously choose positive desires, devotional desires, then Krishna will remind us. Current situation is, even if some temptation is not there in front of us, our mind is sufficient to distract us. But if we continuously choose positive desires, then one day will come, even if the temptation is present in front of us, our mind will not get attracted to it. Just like Haridas Thakur. Maya Devi is standing in front and she is displaying all her glory. Even it is said, even Brahma could not resist. But Nirvikar Haridas Gambhir Ashay. Nirvikar Haridas. Haridas had no disturbance. So therefore, Krishne Nama Vishtamana Sada Haridas. Aranye Rodita Hoila Sri Bhava Prakash. Because his mind was absorbed in Krishna, he was not tempted. So Prabhupada writes, as an obedient servitor of the Lord, Brahma creates all these as the matter of necessity. But he is not happy in doing so. Because the devotee of the Lord naturally does not like anyone falling down. Persons who do not care for the path of realization get full facilities from the Lord for executing their proclivities to the fullest extent. And Brahma helps in that procedure. If you want to forget Krishna, Krishna will provide full facilities. Forget me. Krishna is always reciprocal. He never puts the gun and says, love me. That is not possible. Okay. So now, after this, after creating this 5 types of ignorance, for the next thing he creates is the best part of his creation. The best part of his creation is 4 Kumaras. So that's what he is about to create now. Sanakam cha sanandam cha Sanatanam athatma bhu Sanatkumaram cha munin Nishkriyan urdhvaretasah.
कुमारचमुनि
The beginning.
दीक्षियाम् उद्धरति सः
So Brahma created 4 kinds of knowledge in the form of 4 Kumaras. So Chakravarti Thakur writes, this and the following verses show who the functions of Vidya appeared in the form of Kumaras. So the functions of Vidya are now appearing in the form of 4 Kumaras. So Vidya potency is, which potency coming from whom? We have discussed, na, Mahamaya has 3 potencies, Avidya, Vidya and Pradhan. So this, no, this is the knowledge of the soul, not knowledge of bhakti. Knowledge of devotion is Chit Shakti. Knowledge of self-realization comes from Mahamaya only. Self-realization, knowledge of the Atma comes from Mahamaya. Okay, so now Chakravarti Thakur writes, the 4 aspects of Vidya. What are the 4 aspects of Vidya? Sankhya, Yoga, Vairagya and Tapas. So the functions of Vidya, they appeared in the form of the 4 Kumaras. In order to show that Vidya destroys ignorance or avidya. Just as Brahma appears from a lotus on the first day, in the first half of his life, as he did in the previous day, Brahma made the Kumaras another appear at this time, though they actually live for Brahma's 100 years. All the four Kumaras, they live for the entire life of Brahma. They don't die. Now, it says, since Vidya is useless without Bhakti, Bhakti also is present in these four items as a secondary item. So the four Kumaras in the beginning, they were not pure devotees, they were Gyanis, Mishra. Thus, even Kumaras also have Bhakti in the secondary way. Primary thing they have is Vidya, Gyan. So then, after creating four Kumaras, the best part of Brahma's creation is Narada. That is completely a manifestation of Bhakti. He writes, Bhakti as the principal element takes the form of Narad Muni. So, Prabhupada also writes, he created four principles of knowledge, Sankhya, Yoga, Vairagya and Tapas. Brahma created these four great sages to entrust them with these four principles of spiritual enjoyment. They created their own spiritual party. अपना पार्टी बनाया सबने सबने मतलब दोनों सबने मिलके निम्बार्क संप्रदाय और कुमार संप्रदाय. They all became great devotees. And we know how they became great devotees when they went to Vaikuntha. The wonderful famous episode Jai Vijay. That is another interesting episode. The discussion and who is the winner and who is the loser, that is difficult to understand. So Kumaras, they are also confused. Mahavishnu, Lord Vishnu is glorifying us or chastising us. समझ नहीं रहा है क्या कर रहे हैं. Okay. They could not get prema bhakti. They got shantarati. That is also described as they offended. तान बभाषे स्वभूपुत्रान् प्रजा सृजत पुत्रकाः तन्नैच्छन् मोक्ष धर्माणो वासुदेव परायणाः. They were Vasudeva Parayan. So Prabhupada writes, how can they reject the orders of Brahmaji, father, spiritual master? Prabhupada says this is one instruction which our disciple can reject. To get married. One who is Vasudeva Parayan, he did not care for any other obligation. They are Vasudeva Parayan. And then Prabhupada quotes this verse, Deva Rishi Bhutapta. This is also very often quoted, but we many times don't understand the implications of this verse. We say, who should not do all these obligations? Those who are pure devotees, right? We are not pure. तो करना पड़ेगा. That means we are not pure, then when we will become pure? At which point of time a devotee can say, now I am pure, now I need not do all these things? Can we say at any time? That's what I am asking. Sharanam Sharanyam, this is how we have heard so many years. I have personally heard many times. Many senior devotees, they speak like this. Sharanam Sharanyam hai kya? Are you surrendered? Are you pure? Karna padega. Can't completely reject all these things. So should we, what is the understanding? Should we do all these shraddha and doing devta worship and serving whatever? Are you Sharanam Sharanyam?
but
So audacious. साहब बोल रहे हैं आप surrendered हैं. This is how people. No, in ILS, I didn't attend. Somebody was telling me Mayapur में ILS होता है ना every year. One devotee was presenting the Varnashram from Varnashram ministry. He asked a question in the beginning. How many of you are pure here? On devotee bolega, I am pure. That means none of you are pure, right? So Varnashram is for those people who are not still pure. So we have to follow Varnashram system, okay? That's how it began there. So what is the understanding? This is outright deviation. You know? So just because you want to prove your point and you are taking advantage of the for devotee. So what do we understand when it is said we are this is only for pure devotees until the time we are not pure, we have to follow the Varnashram system. Is it like?
For the people like else. That
So do we have to do all these things?
we have to do as a matter of societal that we are, as long as we are living in society, we are not taken to that where we are having some societal living. We do as a detachment.
Okay. Okay.
And
That is
Sangraha, and sense like it is a responsibility in the sense. Otherwise, this
If I don't do, just imagine. Okay. If we are not in a position where we are affecting anyone, I am staying in a place where nobody knows me. Should I do these things?
see
So we are not Sharanam Sharanyam as yet, right?
I left.
Yeah.
He was in that.
He was तो भाव के लेवल पे प्रेम पे पहुंच गए थे. हम तो साधक की बात कर रहे हैं.
Adaka, the for the societal
Okay.
and for plus for our own purification, we are not.
No.
Purification is practice of
Yeah. So that is the main point. These things will not help us get purified when we are practicing bhakti. That means we are mixing our faith. That's why we discussed in the beginning what is pure faith, what is mixed faith.
I am saying because like for Shraddha, that now the elevated personality and then for their parents. That is
Elevated means a devotee, pure devotee. Okay.
so we see that's what my understanding, what I see in our own society. So, this is a practice.
ISKCON सोसाइटी में तो बहुत कुछ हो रहा है. मैं रियलिटी पूछ रहा हूँ. What is the ideal standard now?
What I that is that
Because all of you are leaders here. At least all of you should know the realities,
It
the
should be done.
actual fundamental principles of bhakti.
it should be done as a matter of as a
If we are completely in a devotee community, nobody is going to ask why you didn't do the shraddha of your father. Will you do it?
no need. No need, no need.
No need. Yeah.
father after why
It is a karma kandi ritual. That is the important thing. That is the fundamental principle in shraddha. It is a karma kandi ritual for those who are not practicing devotional service. For them, they need to give Vishnu Prasad so that the ancestors get benefited. But understanding of, after coming to Krishna consciousness, after understanding the process of bhakti, if we still do shraddha thinking that ये नहीं करेंगे तो मेरे ancestors will not get liberated, not get purified.
wrong.
That is the mentality which should be avoided. If we are doing completely for Loka Sangraha, okay.
I last trade January, like our family, we used to offer. That's a
Yeah.
good practice. So,
Correct.
I mean,
Correct.
I mean, I don't have my mother-in-law. We still, I don't. They are also
Your mother-in-law is a devotee.
she's a Brahmin. But she
They are coming from a family where somebody will ask them if they don't do. Then actually there is no need. That is the reality. That is the philosophical understanding. If we are thinking that if I don't do Shraddha, then my parents will not get it. We are not understanding the power of Bhakti. Trisabdavi Pita Puta, Krishna says, Nursing says, 21 generations. What to speak about your father? Nrityanti Pitara Sarve, Nrityanti Cha Pitamaha, Madhvamshe Vaishnava Jata, Samet Rata Bhavishyati. All the ancestors are dancing. मेरे family में devotee बन गया एक.
The connection with the devotee. Forget about the lineage of the
So it is
Not needed. If any of your family circles they question, do it. Don't put faith in that ritual. If we are putting faith in the ritual, ये नहीं करेंगे तो ठीक है भक्ति तो कर रहे हैं लेकिन इसके बिना कैसे होगा?
just we will do as a ritual.
Why? That is the understanding. That is the subtle dependence. ये भी करने में क्या problem है? What is the need?
Suppose it tradition which we
That is not affecting our faith. That is purifying the place by kirtan. वो क्या बोलते हैं उसको? कौन सा होता है यज्ञ? वास्तु यज्ञ करते हैं. Vastu yajna means what? We are purifying the place. Just like if we want to welcome deities, we purify the place, right? So we are purifying the house by chanting the names of the Lord. That is nothing to do with. अभी कर्मकांडी वे में करेंगे तो that is not. We just do in a Vaishnava way.
Vaishnava Yajna we can do.
Vaishnava yajnas so we do anytime, many times. So that is how we have to be very clear with this Sharanam Sharanyam when it is said, our faith is pure. It is not fixed. And actually I didn't focus on one word which Chakravarti Thakur writes in that Apiche Sudracharam. If you read, says, my devotee is pure. He speaks somewhere. He speaks a very nice, not getting. Okay, yes, he says, Sashvat Shantim Nigachati. In that paragraph, if you see, this means that even during the stage of having tendency to commit sin, he has a pure heart. What is pure in that? If he is doing thievery, adultery, he is a pure heart. What is pure in his heart? His Shraddha is pure. He is not depending on anyone else. He is depending on Krishna. That is pure Shraddha. That is pure heart. His Shraddha may be weak, but it is pure. So that is the understanding. So because at will that point come that and I'll say अभी आप शुद्ध भक्त नहीं हो शुद्ध भक्त बन जाएंगे ना तब ये सब करने की जरूरत नहीं है कोई भी डिवोटी बोलेगा now I am शुद्ध भक्त
कोई नहीं बोलेगा.
So when we will practice this?
How many we are going to do?
Yes, that means their faith is pure. They may not be purified of their anarthas, but their faith is pure. So that's what we have to understand when we talk about a pure devotee. What is the purity there? There are so many anarthas. Every time काम क्रोध मेरे को मार रहे हैं और बोल रहे हैं आप शुद्ध. मेरा श्रद्धा शुद्ध है.
Pure faith means I just want.
You are not.
I am not depending on devatas.
I am not depending on myself.
Yeah.
I demand Krishna. That is the real.
I am not depending on any other ways.
I only depend on Krishna.
Yeah. मारो भी राखो भी, मांगना भी होगा तो मैं कृष्ण से ही मांगूंगा। मेरे को धन चाहिए, धन धनम जनम सुंदरी, आई विल गो टू कृष्णा ओनली। You know, some people say, some senior devotees I've heard, why are you going to Krishna for asking wealth? There are some other devtas. Go to him. Ask. If you want peace of mind, worship Shiva. Shivji is devta of the mind. Krishna, you should go to Krishna for love. कृष्णा को छोटी छोटी चीजों के लिए क्यों परेशान करना? And it sounds logical, but that is not Krishna expects from us. Krishna says, जो भी है मेरे पास आओ. So, because then our dependence on Krishna will increase. Otherwise, कुछ भी छोटी छोटी, अरे कभी कौन से यज्ञ करना पड़ेगा, कौन से एस्ट्रोलॉजर के पास जाएंगे, will not go to Krishna, will go to astrologer. So that is what Krishna expects from us. Undeviated, unalloyed faith. जो भी है मेरे पास आओ ना, मैं दूंगा ना, क्या प्रॉब्लम है? I'll give you wealth also. अकामा सर्व कामो वा मोक्ष काम, जो मैं दूंगा ना. Why are you going from anywhere else?
With this Shraddha, Nityam,
In the 10th canto, you know, when Parikshit Maharaj asks about Krishna doing Rasalila, then he says, how can Krishna does this? There, he says, just find out that na tatheva acha, na tatheva charita.
here Srila Prabhupada,
Just a minute, मैं बोलता हूँ. ईश्वराणाम वचः सत्यम न तथैवाचरितम क्वचित तेषां यत् स्ववचो युक्तम बुद्धिमां तत् समाचरे. The statements of the Lord's empowered servants are always true, and the acts they perform are exemplary when consistent with those statements. This is important. Okay. Ishwaranam vachah satyam na tatheva acharitam. If the statements of the scriptures they don't match with the actions of the Lord or the devotee, please give reference to the statements of the scriptures. Don't follow the acts. They have certain purpose. They can do with it, they'll not be affected. Tejiyasam na doshaye. They will never be affected. They can do things, they can get away with that. When it comes to following, follow the words. तेषां यत् स्ववचो युक्तम, वचन को पालन करिए. This is 10:33:31. Whenever we see any contradictions in the actions and the scriptures, statements तो कुछ बोल रहे हैं और actions इनका कुछ और है, follow the statements. So that is very important. Yeah, this is very often quoted. उन्होंने भी श्राद्ध किया, राम ने श्राद्ध किया. अरे बोल रहे हैं क्या, कभी हमको करने के लिए बोले क्या, कभी डिवोटीज को करने के लिए कहीं पे लिखे हैं? Whenever, anywhere Prabhupada told, anywhere Prabhupada has written that devotees should do Shraddha. One time, Swarup Damodar Goswami Maharaj, Swarup Damodar, नहीं, Swarup Maharaj, Swarup, नहीं, Swarup, वो scientist कौन? Swarup Damodar Maharaj, Bhakti Swarup Damodar. So his father or some relative, he left his body and he went to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, they are calling for Shraddha because nobody is there, I'm the only one. So I have to go. So should I go? I said, ideally there is no need, you can decide. He didn't go. So there is not even one statement or one instance where Prabhupada said श्राद्ध करना, astrologer के पास जाना चाहिए. So when Lord does it, He has a broader picture to fulfill because not everyone is a devotee, right? There are many karmis. क्या वो नवाम कर्माणि लिम्पन्ति न मे कर्म फले स्पृहा इति माम यो बजानाति कर्मभिर्. I have nothing to do, still I am working. Why? यदि ही अहम न वर्तेयम जातु कर्मण्य तंद्रितः मम वर्तमानु वर्तन्ते मनुष्या पार्थ। मैं नहीं करूंगा तो ये लोग बोलेंगे देखो कृष्ण ने नहीं किया तो हम क्यों करें। That doesn't mean it is applies for devotees also. That is second thing. पहला तो वचन है क्या, डिवोटी के लिए वचन दिए हैं क्या. Secondly, he has to see the broader picture because he is dealing with everyone. Even Bharat Maharaj did yajnas. Even Prithu Maharaj did yajnas. But for Lokasandra. Personally, he was not practicing it. Dhruv Maharaj जब जाते हैं, he goes to the forest and then this Vishnu Viman comes. Then before that, it is described when he goes to the forest, he performs Ashtanga Yoga. Yam, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam, sab diya. Chakravarti Thakur writes, what is the need for him to do Ashtanga Yoga? He gives a wonderful explanation. You know, he went to a place where there were so many yogis. He didn't want to disrespect them. So he did only for 2-3 days yoga. उसके बाद भक्ति किया. So just to satisfy the people, a devotee sometimes does this. Krishna has done this because सब devotee नहीं है ना. योगी भी हैं, कर्मी भी हैं, ज्ञानी भी. बोलेंगे कृष्ण ने नहीं किया श्राद्ध तो कर्मी बोलेगा मैं श्राद्ध नहीं करूंगा. भक्ति भी नहीं कर रहा है, श्राद्ध भी नहीं करेगा, तो गया ना फिर. So that's why Krishna does it. Mahaprabhu does it. हाँ. नहीं. For anyone, if you become a devotee, नृत्यंती पितरौ वो श्लोक है, उसमें वो पहले वाले devotee नहीं है. It is not that if they are not if they are devotees, then you don't have to do. No. The power of bhakti is so much that 21 generations they get benefited. None of the karmakandi things are as powerful as the process of bhakti. So that is the faith a devotee should have in the process of bhakti. I will not depend on anything else but bhakti.
Same. When he is there, the 20 generations they become liberated, they get liberated.
Not liberated. They get proper conditions where they can practice bhakti. Yeah.
Not related to chant something,
Yeah.
get something. That be absent devotee. For
Get
example,
Lord's names means
Shri Chutaya Namo. Very powerful. That be valid.
you can do whatever, you can ask Krishna whatever you want,
This is
but at the end we should also pray. I don't know what to ask, that's why I'm asking all these things. Please give me intelligence so that I can ask the right thing. And if our health is really bad, so of course we need good health to serve Krishna. So there is no problem in asking good health. There is no problem in asking good health of the relatives. Anyabhilashita shunyam and anyabhilasha shunyam. What is the difference? Why Rupa Goswami didn't use anyabhilasha shunyam? Because anya abhilashita includes the desire of self-preservation and desire for the well-being of the near ones. That does not make one a lesser devotee. If I am asking for my good health, and if I am asking for the good health of my relatives, that does not make me a lesser devotee. I am not asking for material things. It's like Uttara asked, Pahi Pahi Mahayogin Deva Deva Jagate Nanyatwadamam Kashayat. Please save my child. Maharani is praying. That doesn't make Draupadi prayed, please protect me. So that doesn't make one a lesser devotee. But if I'm asking material things apart from health, सपोज ठीक है थोड़ा और एक बंगला और मिल जाएगा, मेरे रिलेटिव्स के लिए मांग रहा हूँ, मेरे लिए नहीं. That is then mixed. That is material desire. That we should not do. Prabhupada continues. There was nothing wrong in the acts of Kumaras when they refused their great father's request that they become family men. So as a subordinate, Kumara should have done the service, but they refused. So if a subordinate is not interested in doing some service and they express their disinterest, honestly expressing, so, and if they are genuinely saying, really, I can't do this service, I don't want to do this service. But if the superior pushes it, then, it will not be good for the subordinate. If there is some lethargy on the part of the subordinate, then it is okay. We can push, we can tell. But if really some genuine concern he has, then it is not good to force the subordinates. But Brahma didn't force Kumaras. I am giving order. When you refuse, he's not forcing. So therefore, he is respecting their autonomy. It is not about skipping responsibilities. A subordinate, he's not skipping responsibility, but just that he can't do this service properly. He doesn't like to do this service for some genuine reasons. Then the authority should respect that. Of course, that is a very subjective, that is one-to-one, person-to-person understanding. Okay, so now he continues. So Brahma, he's a very refined personality. He didn't show his anger, but still it came out from the middle of his eyebrows as Rudra. So adhyata sutairevam pratyakhyatanushashanaiः
शासने
क्रोधं दुर्विषहं जातं
क्रोधं दुर्विषहं जातं
नियन्तुम् उपचक्रमे.
नियन्तुमचक्रमे.
Much and
So he tried to control. So Brahma, Prabhupada writes, because he is in charge of the mode of passion, so he also got affected by the anger. So although Kumaras were right in their acts of refusal, Brahma could not check his anger. He did not express it. So Chakravarti Thakur writes, Brahma was disrespected, avadhyataha. So although he was disrespected, he tried to control his nature, Brahma's rajasic nature. So previously his creation of tamas and the Kumaras shows his tamasic and sattvic nature. Now his anger shows his rajasic nature. Okay, so now he continues. Dhiya nigrihamaanopi Dhruvormadhyat prajapate Satyo jayata tanmanyo
जायत
Kumaro
तन्मन्यो
nilalohitaha.
लोहितः.
Although he tried to curb his anger, came out between eyebrows. The child of and red was immediately
Okay, this child mix blue and red. It is Rudra. So Chakravarti Thakur writes, just as Vidya destroys avidya, sometimes avidya destroys Vidya. So that is what is happening here. He could not control his anger, came out. To show this anger or tamishra, the chief aspect of avidya makes its disappearance as Rudra, who previously from Brahma, who previously produced Vidya. Maras presents Vidya and Lord Shiva is the embodiment of anger. So he is of mixed color, blue and red. Blue and red colors are colors of anger. Prabhupada writes, Blue is the color of ignorance, red is the color of passion. Okay, continue. Savairurod devanam purvajo bhagavan bhavah namani kuru medhatah dhanani cha jagatguru.
जगद्गुरु
Please give me name and please give me place to stay. He's crying. मेरा नाम क्या है? कहाँ रहना है? So now Brahma, he pacifies Rudra. He fulfills his request. Iti tasya vachah padmo Bhagavan paripalayan abhyadhat bhadraya vacha
अभ्यादात् भद्रया वाचा
marodi satkaromte
करो
matro. Continue.
All powerful.
So Rudra is one. Why Rudra? One who cried when he appeared. Other meaning is one who makes others cry. Okay. Continues. Yadarodi surasreshta Udvega iva balakaha
वेद इव बालक
Tasvam abhidhasyanti
नाम्ना
Namna Rudra iti praja.
रुद्र इति प्रजा
Thereafter Brahma said, O chief of Chal.
So, Vallabhacharya in Sri Subodhini gives a very interesting explanation. He says the sun was of blue and red. So he says why he was having these two colors. Anger's color is red and Lord's color is blue. Lord Vishnu's color. So therefore he is a great devotee of the Lord also. So he appeared with the blue color, red and blue. So that is some extra information. Okay, so he cried.
So you said blue color is like
This is Vallabhacharya.
Vallabha.
Yeah.
You said
ये तो purport में लिखते हैं ना, blue is ignorance, red is passion. You know who is Vallabhacharya in Krishna Leela? He Shukdev Goswami. So now Kavi Karnapur describes in Gaur Ganodesh Shukdev Goswami. Okay. Rid Indriyanya. So now he gives 11 places to Rudra for staying. This is how anger manifests in these 11 places. Very interesting explanation. It is 5 o'clock. Should we do some citation? So he created ignorance and then he created 4 Kumaras. He ordered them to procreate. They refused. Brahma became angry, tried to control his anger. Boy, boy mixed with red and blue color section, he appeared. He asked for the place to stay and the name, Brahma gave him the name Rudra. And then he is giving 11 places for him to stay. Hridindriyani asur vyoma Ayuragnirjalam mahi Suryashchandrastapashchaiva Thananyagre kritani te. So these are the 11 places of Rudra where anger stays. It's a very, very interesting analysis Brahmaji is describing here, where all anger can reside. Interesting is even austerity can have the place of anger.
Right?
Yeah. And we'll discuss Prabhupada also right side. The creation of Rudra from between the eyebrows of Brahma as a result of anger generated from mode of passion, hardly touched by ignorance, is significant. Rudra is described in 3.37. Kamesha Krodhaesha. When the lust and hankering are unsatisfied, Krodha appears. This is the most formidable sinful enemy. Mahashano Mahapapa. Then Prabhupada writes. This most sinful and inimical passion is represented as ahankar, a false egocentric attitude, thinking of oneself to be all in all. Such egocentric attitude on the part of conditioned soul is described as foolish. Which verse? Egocentric attitude. Does it start?
अहंकार विमूढ़ात्मा करता है
Egocentric attitude is the manifestation of a Rudra principle, wherein Krodha is generated. Okay. So then Prabhupada gives an elaborate description of how different places they are, the places of lust, anger, heart. He says the egocentric attitude is the manifestation of Rudra principle in the heart. That is how Rudra principle generates in the heart. When we start thinking, I am the controller. That is the place. Then, senses. Prabhupada writes, this anger develops in the heart and it is further manifested through various senses. The eyes, hands, legs. Natural, when person becomes angry, eyes become red hot and they kick or beat someone. So that is the principle of Rudra manifested in the senses. Then, third is the air of life. What happens when a person becomes angry? Breathes rapidly. So that's how the Rudra is represented in the air of life. Then, sky. He says, when the sky is overcast with dense clouds and roars in anger, that is the Rudra principle. And when the wind blows fiercely, that is Rudra principle. Water. How water displays the Rudra principle? When the sea water is infuriated by the wind, it appears in a gloomy feature of Rudra. Fire. When the fire is ablaze, we can also experience the presence of Rudra. And when there is inundation for earth, we can understand this is Rudra. So wherever destruction happens, that is Rudra principle manifesting. The earth, there are many earthly creatures who constantly represent Rudra principle. Snake, tigers, lion. Then sun, extreme heat of sun causes heat stroke. It is Rudra principle. Moon, due to extreme coldness caused by the moon, there are cases of collapse. There are some. And then austerity. There are many sages empowered with the influence of austerity. Many yogis, philosophers, and renouncers who sometimes exhibit their acquired power under the influence of Rudra. Prabhupada gives the example of Durvasa Muni. So that's how, when the Rudra principle is not manifested properly, not exhibited under the guidance, then it destroys. Prabhupada writes, when the Rudra principle is not engaged in devotional service, the angry person falls down. Yanni Arvindaksha. So, it's my 11th. We discussed the heart, senses, air of life, the sky, the air. Okay, the sky and the air, it is different. Fire, earth, water, sun. Okay, so that's how these 11. Sorry? Austerity ka diya na. When people become austere, they, even if somebody does small mistake, they think I have the power to punish. Austerity creates pride and anger manifests. Yeah, anger manifests very easily. So when there is no devotion, then it causes fall down. But when there is anger, when there is devotion, even the anger becomes pleasurable for the Lord. Just like Yashoda Maya was becoming angry and she's running behind Krishna. Gopis are becoming angry on Krishna when he's stealing butter. So that's how devotional principle matters. Okay. So now Brahma gives 11 names to 11 Rudras. मन्योर्मनोर्महीनसो महान् शिवारितध्वजः प्ररेता भवः कालो
उग्ररेतः भव
वामदेवो
कालो
धृतव्रतः
वामदेवः कृतव्रतः
Lord Brahma said, my dear, the names. Manu, Manu,
Mahinasa.
Mahinasa, Mahan, Shiva, Tadvaja, Prareta, Kala, Amadeva, and the
So he gave 11 names and then he gives 11 wives also to the 11 manifestations of Rudra. So he manifested, he expanded in 11 forms. So he was given 11 wives. Dhir Dhriti Rasaloma cha Niyutsarpir Ilambika Iravati Swadha Diksha
रावती स्वधा दीक्षा
Rudra Triyaha.
रुद्रानो रुद्रसेत्य
You also have 11 wives called the Rudrani, and they are as follows: Dhi, Triti, Rasla, Uma, Niyut, Sarpi, Ila, Ambika, Iravati, Swadha, and Diksha. Hare.
So now Brahma's main purpose of creating Kumaras was creation, but they refused. So अभी ब्रह्मा जी देखिए एक और कैंडिडेट आए तो उनको क्या बोलेंगे? Procreate. So that's what he is giving. So that instruction he gives to Rudra also. Grihanetani namani
नामानि
Thanach sayoshanaha
दानानि च
Kebhi srija praja bahavih
येभिः सृज प्रजा
Prajana
ब्रह्म
Yalpatihi.
जानासने जगति
My dear boy, you now accept all the names and places stated for and your rights. And since you are now masters of the cities, gods,
So same instruction he gave to Rudra also. So Prabhupada writes, it is natural that one should accept the wife selected by one's father, just as the son accepts the name given by father. That is general course. On the other hand, the Kumaras did not accept the offering of their father because they were elevated. They were elevated far beyond the business of generating number of sons. As the son can refuse the order of the father for higher purposes, so the father can refuse to maintain his sons in increasing population because of higher purposes. So Bhishma also,
this is not the meaning of the father can refuse to maintain his sons.
if there is some higher purpose, then you can refuse. I'll not maintain you, you are not accepting my order. But this Kumaras had a higher purpose.
Ask him.
Yeah, well, that's what. Father can refuse to maintain if the person is refusing without any purpose. If the person has a higher purpose, then one cannot refuse to maintain the sons. So a general understanding. If the son is not following the instructions, the father cannot maintain you. But if the son has a higher purpose, then you cannot say you didn't follow my instructions, I'll not maintain you. Then it is not good. Next verse. Ityadishtasva guruna Bhagavan
दिष्टगुरुणा
Anila Lohitaha सत्त्वाकृति स्वभावेन
सत्त्वाकृति स्वभावेन
सहजात्मसमा प्रजाः
जात्मनः Hare Krishna. The most powerful Rudra, whose bodily color was blue mixed with red, created many offspring exactly resembling him in feature, strength, and furious nature. Hare Krishna.
So he started creating, मेरे जैसा ही बनाऊंगा मैं तो सब. So Brahmapudra started creating all those powerful beings. They were very, very furious, angry, and instead of helping in creation, they started destroying the creation of Brahma. So that was the problem. Rudranam Rudra Srishtanam Samantangrastam Yuthan Prajapateta Sankata. तो उल्टा हो रहा है. I wanted them to help, but they are destroying whatever I have created. Prabhupada writes, the generations of Rudra were so dangerous that even Brahma became afraid of them. The so-called devotees or followers of Rudra are also menace. So-called devotees, not proper devotees. They are sometimes dangerous even to Rudra himself. Example? Vikas, yes, Bhasmas. Descendants of Rudra sometimes make plans to kill Rudra by the grace of Rudra. That is the nature of his devotees. मतलब उनका आशीर्वाद लेके उनको ही मार रहे हैं. So Brahma says, please stop it. Alam prajabhi srishtabhi idrishibhi surottama
मया सह
मया
दहन्ति
दहन्ति
Some of the demigods, there is need for integrate living is they have begun to devastate on all sides, kill things, and they have even attacked.
Such obedient children they have. They started running Brahmaji only. Tapa atishta bhadram te sarvabhut sukhavaham saiva yathapam srishna vishwam
विश्वामिदं भवान्
better situate yourself hence it is a positive will bring happiness official the universe as
So he is giving instructions. Please go and perform austerity. जब जरूरत होगी आपको बुलाएंगे. अभी आपकी बिल्कुल जरूरत नहीं है. Now I want to create and you are creating destruction. So by austerity you will achieve auspiciousness and that will bestow benedictions upon you and that will bring happiness to all the jivas. And in the 19th verse he says, by penance you will be able to approach the Lord. So therefore Rudra was advised, in the 19th verse he says, Rudra was advised by Brahma to perform penance. And that's why Lord Shiva is always seen in meditation. He is meditating on the Supreme Lord. So that's why the principle of austerity is very important. Even Lord Vishnu, what is we discussed? Grasami tapasa vedam srijami. I also perform austerity. So austerities, they play a very crucial role in life of a devotee. Yagyadana tapakkarma natyajyam karyam tat yagyodanam tapashaiva pavanani manikshina. 18th chapter Krishna says, Bhagavad Gita. You should never leave yagya, dan and tapa. Tapo divyam putraka. Tasya is very important. Okay. But all the tapasya should be for increasing bhakti. not otherwise. If we are doing tapasya for some ulterior motives, then it is not. Tapasvino danapara yashasvino manasvino mantra vidosu mangala kshemam na vindanti vinaya darpanam. ये तो आप लोगों ने याद किया होगा ना? कैश मेमोरी बता। क्षेमं न विन्दन्ति विनाय दर्पणं तस्मै सुभद्राश्रवसे नमो नमः. If somebody is tapasvi, dani, yashasvi, mantravida, they will not get benefited if they are not offering the results to Krishna. Vinayad arpanam. So then Rudra agrees and he goes to the forest. He circumambulates his father. In the 20th verse, Maitreya is describing Rudra circumambulated his father and he went to form austerities in the forest. Then Brahma in 21st verse, quickly I'll take few verses, we'll stop in. Brahma again starts creating. First creation, ignorance. Second, Kumaras. Third, Rudra. अभी कोई भी नहीं क्रिएशन करने के लिए he again has to start creating. So then he begets 10 sages. Marichiratryangiraso पुलस्त्या पुलः क्रतुः
पुलस्त्या पुलः क्रतुः
ऋगुर्वशिष्ठो दक्षश्च
भृगो वसिष्ठो
दशमस्तत्र नारदः
दशमस्तत्र नारदः
पुलस्त्य
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 हाँ
पुलस्त्य पुल क्रतु भृगु वशिष्ठ दक्ष and the 10 sons Narada were as born.
Yes, so Chakravarti Thakur writes very important things about these personalities who are born from what. So he says share. नहीं विश्वामित्र इसमें कहां से आ गए? विश्वामित्र तो राजा थे ना, तो बहुत बाद में आ गए थोड़ा है. Okay, so now this verse now describes how Marichi and others appeared as representatives of Karma Yoga. Jnana, Vairagya, Tapas, Yoga and Karma only become successful by performance of Bhakti. So all the other sages, they were prominently involved in Karma. So all of them appeared, but Bhakti is not there. They will not get the result. Yagyartha karmananyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. Jnana karma yoga. Bhakti is not there. They will not get the result. They become successful only by the performance of bhakti. But bhakti does not depend on any of these processes. Bhakti gives all the results. It is the very form of all results. Thus, bhakti is represented at the end. Appeared in the form of Narada. Actually, who are these 4 Kumaras? In the past life, who were they? They were the 4 Bhaktivedantis who came to the house of Narada. They became the 4 Kumaras. Sri Vallabhacharya writes this. Okay. Sri Subhaya. बहुत ही डिटेल में वो थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट है. कोट कर सकते. Yeah. The whole process of creation, maintenance and dissolution is to give chance to conditioned souls to go back home. Brahma created Rudra to help him in endeavor, creative endeavor. But from the beginning, Rudra began to devour. So thus he had to be stopped. Then Brahma created another set of good children in favor of worldly fruitive acts. Karma kandi rituals mein zyada interested the ye sab yogi. That's why Atri Muni, it comes in the 3rd canto beginning, we heard, 4th canto beginning, sorry. When he did tapasya and he prayed to the Lord, whoever is supreme Lord, please appear. He didn't know who is the supreme. So Brahma, Vishnu, तीनों आ गए महेश. So he asks them only. He recognizes that ये शिव जी हैं, इनके हाथ में डमरू है और ये नंदी पे आए हैं. ये ब्रह्मा है, स्वयं पे आए हैं, हाथ में कमंडल हुए. ये विष्णु है, ये हाथ में चक्र है, ये गरुड़ पे आए हैं. but he didn't know who is the supreme. So he very frankly, honestly says, I know who am I called by my prayer. I called for one person who is supreme. All three of you appear. So there Prabhupada writes, Atri Muni was not a pure devotee. He knew that there is somebody supreme, but he didn't know who he was. So that's why, all these sages, they were prominently absorbed in karma kandi things. Yeah, yes. And the three Anusuya. So from them, Soma, Durvasa, and Dattatreya, three were born. He knew very well, however, that without devotional service to the Lord, there is hardly any benefit. So therefore, he created Narada Muni at the last. Yes, Mother, you have a question? Yeah.
यस प्रभु, वो वशिष्ठ मुनि है ना, वो राम जी के जो क्या बोलेंगे आचार्य है,
That
वो
time he became devotee.
हाँ
Before that, he was not so much absorbed in devotion. Vishwamitra also became devotee at that time only.
और विश्वामित्र मुनि जो वशिष्ठ की कामधेनु लेके गए थे, वो वशिष्ठ और ये
Yes, yes,
वशिष्ठ
correct.
दोनों एक
Same,
ही है
same,
ना?
है, same. है. They all live for many kalpas.
Yes, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Datta Sampradaya is very
Yeah. We don't worship Dattatreya like we don't worship Buddha. Because Dattatreya mostly propagated impersonal philosophy. That's why we don't worship Dattatreya. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shri
हरे
Prabhupada
कृष्ण
ki
प्रभु,
jai,
मतलब
Srimad Bhagavatam
दंडवत
ki
प्रणाम।
jai.
मतलब हम लोग कह
ठीक
सकते
है
हैं कि ये जो
ठीक
ऋषि
है
मुनि है वो बहुत कल्पों तक रहते हैं, ऐसे उनका
Of course.
निवास। हाँ
Yes, yes, yes. They stay for, some say stay for entire life of Brahma.
हाँ हाँ हाँ। तो वैसे वशिष्ठ
Some of
मुनि
them they
शायद,
stay for entire life of Brahma.
हाँ
और
यस, थैंक यू प्रभु। हरे कृष्ण।
हरे
Prabhupada
कृष्ण,
ki jai.
थैंक यू वेरी मच। प्रभुपाद की